Josh said we could be talking about a contending team all season, which we indeed were at 78 and 84. Josh, kudos.
I think my direct quote was, we could be talking about a contending team all year that finishes the year 82 and 80. So I did take that quote out of context. I should have put some ellipses there at the end because I was not right on the end of it. But yeah, I don't think it's any secret that they exceeded a lot of expectations, especially when it comes to team records. So shout out to the boys in blue.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
Back like we never left, one Royal Away podcast here on KC Sports Network, brought to you by our good friends at Emprise Bank, our partners in Possible, members FDIC, Jordan Foote, Josh Keiser, Joe Penfield. Let's go to the bottom box. Josh, how's it going, buddy?
Doing well, feeling a lot better. It was bittersweet to get to watch the Royals in the postseason last week, but very bitter that I didn't get to join you guys. Obviously, losing is not very fun either, but not being able to process and decompress everything, all the feelings that I had despite not feeling my best last week was tough to swallow, a tough pill to swallow on top of all the meds I was taking. But doing better now, back in the saddle. Happy to be here to kind of recap this season. Joel, how are you, my friend, bouncing off this incredible opportunity you've had?
Yeah, I'm still, I still go back and look at the pictures and the videos and stuff, and I'm like, I can't believe I was there for that. It was really, really awesome. But no, I've been doing good. I'm still watching these championship series. Manfred's going to get his Yankees-Dodgers World Series one way or another. We're going to get the two biggest markets, get Judge and Ohtani in the World Series, just like everybody wants. And honestly, I know that it, around here, it's but those two markets, those two players, it's good for baseball to get that type of cachet in the World Series. That's probably what we're going to get. And I think it'll be a fun series to watch. Those are two very good teams. I know you have your hard opinions about both teams, but I want to watch some good baseball too.
Yeah. Going to be interesting. If you guys are tuning in on YouTube, and this is going to be after the fact now, we are not live for the first time in forever, it seems. Drop a like, hit the subscribe button. If you are on Apple, do the same. If you are on Spotify, leave that 5-star review and subscribe to the channel here. Josh, we want to get your thoughts here because we didn't have the chance to talk to you. You were feeling a little bit under the weather, so you can start off final game against the Yankees, playoff run, and then season as a whole, because we kind of had that whole reflective mini episode in the aftermath.
Yeah, I was bouncing around in the comments trying to disrupt you guys as much as I physically possibly could. Usually with the card.
You did a pretty good job of it.
Yeah.
You did a good job.
Well, you guys did a good job staying on point and ignoring. But at the same time, yeah, it was again bittersweet. It was nice to see the boys there. We kind of talked about it in the preview that the Yankees are a team built to kind of give the Royals some fits, and how they kind of match up was not really advantageous to what the Royals are good at. Didn't mean that the Royals didn't have a shot to win that series, and I think that if that game goes 7 with a different umpire crew, then who knows what happens. But I think in the end, the better team won. The team that showed up, especially offensively, won that series, and it's kind of hard to deny that at that point. So again, congratulations to the Yankees, despite being the hated team in the American League. It is what it is. But I did have some other thoughts here. On the season as the whole, I was glad the worst of the worst didn't happen. They did not go another 100-plus loss season, which was nice. I felt like a key injury or either one of the signings like Lugo and Waka not panning out could have kind of spelled that a little bit. They were very healthy and very productive, so that was also very good. And they could have gone all that way to just go that way and not make the playoffs there in September, and that would have been brutal after a 96% chance likelihood that they'd make the postseason. That would have been the other part of that would have been overshadowing the success that they had this year. But neither one of those things happened. They still made the postseason, brought postseason baseball back to Kansas City by taking a series against a team that for the last couple seasons I've been kind of using as a measuring stick, because Baltimore was the hard rebuild. They were the tankathon. They were the tear it down to the studs. They were the analytical darlings that was doing everything right. And the Royals still swept them in a series. The Royals, who were
in Baltimore.
in Baltimore showed up to a series that Baltimore failed to, even though they pitched their ace. I mean, that's bonkers to me. So it gave fans like a feeling of legitimacy after winning that series. I think it was very, very fulfilling to not only make the postseason, but then beat the team that I kind of been measuring them up against and how their rebuild has gone. So I think that's another part of the season that, was a very a big deal to me. Also, like, obviously falling short while having obvious voids is kind of a good thing. You kind of come out of the season knowing that you need a leadoff hitter, knowing that you need somebody to see pitches, knowing that you need quality, not quantity. And JJ even talked about that in the presser yesterday. So being able to have success and have obvious voids in your lineup and your rotation and your bullpen, and knowing how to address those effectively is going to make for an exciting offseason and almost like a simple one. Like, you know where you need to go, and it is what it is. And you're also giving the guys a taste of success without, give them the whole dinner. So give them hungry. They're coming back into the year trying to do better. I love that part. That's not, I'm obviously disappointed. I would have loved to beat the Yankees and then Cleveland and then the Dodgers and the Mets, but it just didn't happen. And you can't take these seasons for granted. These postseasons don't come around, especially in Kansas City, often. We're 9 seasons removed from the last one. So it was nice to enjoy the whole thing and live the roller coaster, ride the ride, and not take a single second of it for granted. That was probably my favorite part, is having a podcast where you kind of like milestone it each week. We're going to talk about the week before. It allows you to kind of dissect the previous week and look ahead and look at things that are happening in the present. And that was, invaluable to me personally. And I hope that our listeners kind of felt the same way, because it was just easier to pay attention to what was going on. Notice the little things that maybe you miss when you're just kind of casually glazing over a long period of time. So having a podcast and a place to come talk to you guys, both you guys and the producer Nick behind the scenes, and everybody who stopped by on our live shows, being able to talk about the boys, their last week and the week coming up and what could happen and what did happen. It was huge to kind of not take that for granted. So I will never, ever, not value that as much as it is. And finally, I feel really good about the direction of this organization. Feel like we have an owner that is willing to spend when it was time to spend. He's kind of put his money where his mouth is in that part. We have a front office that knows how to spend money. They've had their losses, but they've had a lot of wins compared to what we've seen in the past, and that's huge. I feel like we have a coaching staff that can maximize productivity on all these guys. I feel like we have an R&D department that's not 2 decades behind everyone else, which is huge. And I just feel like the farm system has dues that you can actually hope on and kind of get where the direction is going from here. So I just feel good about the direction of this organization as a whole, even if they did come up short this year.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway that I've had as I've kind of had time to reflect over the last week or so is just that what Josh said at the very end, that this organization has a direction that they are heading. For years and years, that post, core, World Series core, felt like the Royals were kind of up a creek without a paddle forever. Like they had no idea what they were doing or where they were going. And they were trying to kind of have a hand in both pots of like, we want to rebuild, but we want to compete. And they just had to pick one, and they refused to do it. The Royals said, you know what? We're going to, the JJ Piccolo era started, and like, we are going to figure this out with what we have now. And it was a disaster last year, but they learned from that, knew where they needed to go, and you saw a 30-win improvement. You're not going to see a 30-win improvement next year. That'd be nuts. But we saw like them take that jump, and now all those guys have had a taste of winning in this organization. They know what it takes. They know what's at stake. And I think, and they're going to be able to build off of this year, even if it doesn't maybe lead to more wins. I think, if they end up in that 86, 88 range, still a very good outcome. Now you look to go deeper in the playoffs. You get beyond the DS and you keep building and keep stacking that way. I think we are heading in a very good and fun direction, and we're going to kind of put our GM hats on later and figure out how we think this team can take that next step.
I remember talking to you guys about it last year. We were all excited about the direction of this organization, and now we built on that. That's awesome.
Yes.
It
feels good to be validated in the opinion we had last year after a 56-win season where we came out of that. We're like, I still feel good about where we're heading. And people looked at us like we were crazy, and we're like, oh, hey, we're validated. We're vindicated. This is cool.
I'm stoked to put the GM hats on. I'm very excited for that part of the show. JJ Picollo put his normal hat on Monday, had a press conference. So my takeaways from it, leadoff hitter priority, middle of the order bat priority, someone to like insulate Vinny Pasquantino and Salvador Perez, looking for power, potentially payroll flexibility was covered, something that the way it was framed and the way that that I listened to it after the fact, I don't think they have quite the exact same flexibility in terms of they're going to go spend as much as they did, but I do think that the same flexibility in a sense of, hey, if there's a guy we want, we can afford to go get that guy. Now, it's not going to be like Juan Soto or anything, but they can afford to go for me. Yes, exactly.
Make changes.
So I think that was big. The entire coaching staff, barring like an external promotion, is expected back. And then Picollo kind of dancing around the like how Garcia could play center field. Then he's like, hold on. Like, it was just an example, like good athlete. I'm joking. That all kind of jumped out to me, Joel. What, if you have any separate takeaways or want to expand on anything that he said on Monday?
No, I think when, looking at when he talked about what his priorities were, last year it was more depth to the guys that we have, and we need starting pitching. And what did he do last offseason? He got some depth to the position players, which is what they needed, and he went out and got starting pitching. So he, to his credit, follows through on what he said they are going to do. So I have no reason to believe that we're not going to come out of this, and by the start of spring training, the Royals are going to have a leadoff hitter type, bless you, Josh, and a middle of the order type bat to help lengthen the lineup. I don't know who those guys are. I don't know whether that's going to be via trade or via free agency, but they're going to come out of this with guys like that. I have no reason to believe the contrary at this point. JJ is a very straight shooter. We've had him on this podcast a couple of times. He has no problem being honest and candid, and he follows through when he says those things, and he's not just blowing smoke. So I'm very curious where he heads next and how he attacks this offseason, because you can't go backwards now. Like, we can't have that. So it's all about moving forward and finding ways to make this roster better so that they can get beyond game 4 of the division series.
I was thinking back about last offseason. Do you guys remember that we were living in a world where the Royals were connected to damn near every second tier free agent?
Yeah.
I would love to live in that same reality, but with batters. That is my dream.
I could see that. Scenario. I mean, that might be where they go. Maybe JJ's learned a little something from the general manager across the parking lot. We have a deficiency here. I'm going to attack it as aggressively as I can to correct it for the next season to improve this roster.
That's kind of what I'm with. We know what the deficiencies of this roster is. Can he overcorrect like Brett Veach can? And if that's the case, then I'm very excited for what this team could look like next year. The caveat to that is there's not a lot of flexibility. There's still, if they're talking about keeping the number the same as far as the payroll goes, there's not a lot of flexibility currently here, especially if you're going to start it out by potentially giving Michael Wacha more money. And we'll talk about that probably later on, because his market has increased compared, according to Spotrac.
He deserves he does well-deserved pay raise.
He does. It is also, he might have priced himself out of what I would be comfortable giving him at this point. I love Michael Wacha and what he did for this rotation, and we'll talk about this later. I'm not going to try to get into this, but it was just kind of went along the lines of what we were talking about, where they have the deficiencies and they know where they want quality and where they need quantity. I wish, this is something that Royals and baseball Twitter has been talking about the Royals for how many, a decade? You need to have guys that can see pitches. And the regime before him was just no, we need to be aggressive. We need guys that are ready to swing. And now we get to the playoffs, we're oh, wait, the Yankees, outside of Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, just saw 20 pitches apiece. They could not get out of that bottom of the order without walking at least 2 of them every given time. So now we learn the lesson the hard way. Let's learn it, adapt it, bring it into our strategy of our roster construction, and build a contender next year. I have full faith that they are on that track now. Again, we still might be a decade behind, but the lesson was learned, and now let's go.
One of the guys that can draw a walk and take some pitches, Vinny Pasquantino, he's getting a checkup on his thumb next month. Andy Rogers of MLB.com said that he would have started introducing fielding workouts this week if the Royals were still playing. So it looks like good news there. Adam Frazier is getting a thumb procedure of some sort done this week. And then Hunter Harvey, James MacArthur, and Chris Stratton are expected to be healthy for spring training. So good injury updates there. Stratton obviously has the player option for $4.5 million. Guys, do you want to address the options real quick before we break?
Sure.
So I think Stratton, from a business standpoint, no one's offering him $4.5 million. I would just pick it up and see what happens with the team. Correct?
Yeah. Now Nate could take up the player option, but then I think the team can also have the option.
Exactly.
So I don't think they would do that.
Do we know what a buyout is, or is it? Just
I don't know if he has.
I think
it'd be.
I don't know. I think it would literally just
be a solution. Yeah,
and thank you for your service.
I think that's where they go.
Yeah. Hunter Renfroe has a $7.5 million buyout. I expect Hunter Renfroe to be on the roster in 2025, at least to begin the season.
Yep.
Adam Frazier has an $8.5 million mutual option. Andy Rogers reported pretty soon after the season is over that's very likely going to be declined, and Adam Frazier will be a free agent.
Yeah, I can see one side of that picking it up, but not the other one.
You're going to have to buy out for that one, right?
It sounds about right. So. Yep. And again, I think you give him his $2.5 million and thank you for your service. Yeah. And then Michael Wacha's is $16 million, and he has earned well
45.
Yeah. No way. He's going to make he's going to make well over that. I think the qualifying offer is $21 million.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the Royals can offer him that because he's not technically it would be a different way to declare free agency. I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah.
But even then, I'm not. But I don't think he'll take just a qualifying offer. He's heading into his mid-30s. That I would expect him to want a multi-year deal to end his career. Whether that's in Kansas City or else, and he will 100% get a 2 or 3 year deal at closer to $18 to $20 million or more.
So what was the market value? Was it 3 for 60?
Sounds about right. Yeah, I bet he's going to end up in the range around 20 AAV.
Yeah. Yep. I was thinking for him, I guess for all these guys, the deadline 5 days after the World Series is over is the deadline for players and clubs to decide on those options. And then all the deadlines come up, and I was looking at last year's calendar, couldn't find the exact dates for this year, but mid-November, the qualifying offer, acceptance or rejection happens, the roster protection for the Rule 5 draft happens, the non-tender deadline also along that span, and then winter meetings happen early to mid-December, the 9th through the 12th. So it's going to be, quiet for just a tad bit after the World Series, and then instantly back into it, and then quiet again. Then you're ramping back up. So everyone always says, this offseason's dragging along. Nah, it's not. It's actually going to go quicker than we think. So I think some pretty straightforward decisions for player and team on all of that. And I think easily Wacha the most intriguing of the bunch, probably.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Good deal. We're going to look back at some preseason predictions and make fun of ourselves. Fun and maybe pat ourselves on the back and try not to break our arms. So we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your number one source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Whenever I discover something new, the first thing I want to do is share it with my friends. Whether it's a new binge-worthy show or a song that I can't stop listening to, the best part is sharing it with others. And that's kind of what it feels like when I discovered that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless service for just $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. It's such an awesome deal, there's no way I could keep it to myself. Because friends don't let friends overpay for wireless. So you can say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plan and switch to Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you and your friends with premium wireless service for just $15 a month. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan, bring your own phone number, and all of your existing contacts. So ditch overpriced wireless with Mint Mobile's deal and get 3 months of premium wireless service for just $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/KCSN1RW. That's mintmobile.com/KCSN1RW. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/KCSN1RW. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
Jordan Foote, Joel Penfield, Josh Keiser on the One Roll Away podcast. Nick Springer doing one hell of a job behind the scenes producing it. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. Apple, Spotify, drop that 5-star review. And also subscribe to the channel so you don't miss another episode. Guys, let's look back at some, I don't want to call them good, I don't want to call them bad, somewhere in the middle, season predictions. Sad about that.
Predictions.
Now, to preface on some of these, I think we kind of just said someone different to not completely overlap, and this one's a good summary, although we did believe this guy would probably be in the convo. Top hitter, Joel, Bobby Witt Jr., congrats on predicting that.
I got something right, man.
Me and Josh had Vinny Pasquantino, and I think that over the full season, he still obviously wouldn't have qualified for that, but we thought that, at least I thought, he wouldn't have had the downs that he had and like the slow start to the year.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think if we wanted to change the award a hair, most important hitter to that lineup,
We saw what happened when he wasn't there. Yeah.
Most valuable hitter.
might have been, honestly, and that's not me trying to knock Bobby, but what Vinny meant to this team with his ability to hit situationally and hit runners in scoring position, it mattered. He was kind of the straw that stirs the drink with runners on base, and he
had what, 97 RBIs?
97 RBIs. He was going to get probably closer to 110.
Mm-hmm.
What did he end up hitting, like 240?
It was like 260, I think, by the end.
Oh, was it that high? Okay.
Yeah, we don't.
He got going after a while. Like, once he got going, he was on fire.
But then
I don't
know.
So Vinny finished the year splashing 260. It was 262, 315, 446.
Okay.
Yeah. Plenty respectable. And like what the years that we've seen from Bobby, that still might have gotten the best WRC plus on the team from previous Bobby years, but he went nuclear this year.
No, absolutely insane.
Yep. We had a clean sweep for best pitcher, Cole Reagans. That was a pretty predictable one. I think even with the Seth Lugo signing, even with Michael Wacha, I don't think anyone on this podcast thought either of those guys would be quite as good as they were.
No.
This season, and Cole Reagans was awesome yet again. Like, I think this is definitively, at the beginning of the year, we were like, okay, maybe Cole Reagans, and I don't want to spoil a pick upcoming, but like maybe he's not quite as good as he was when he came over, and then he was just as good, if not better. So he just keeps trucking along.
Where do you think he finishes? He's not going to obviously be, I don't think he'll be a finalist. I think Lugo will. But where does Reagans finish down ballot Cy Young? I'll go Cy Young 5.
I was going to say probably, I was going to say 5 or 6.
Okay.
And I think Lugo will probably be Cy Young 2. Cy Young 2 or 3.
Yes. Yeah.
And then
Wacha have 2 in the
top. Probably Cy Young 10.
Wouldn't surprise me. He earned it.
And I think it goes to 20. Brady Singer will probably be like Cy Young. Like four of your 5 starters are going to finish in the top 20 in Cy Young voting, more than likely.
2 are Gold Glove finalists for some reason.
Yeah.
2, Lugo and
Yeah.
I love the Gold Glove so much. It's the dumbest award of all time.
Freaking Juan Soto getting nominated. And Duvall had a really good tweet about that. That like he was 24th out of 27 in like either UZR, like outs above average, whatever the stat was. Like he's not a good defender. He did.
No, he's not. He doesn't have a lot of ground to cover in right field, though.
Yes.
Maximize that mantle he's got.
Bobby Witt Jr. is a good defender and is the team MVP, almost the league MVP. A lot of other years he would have been the league MVP.
Yep.
Another clean sweep for us. So, guys, pat yourselves on the back for recognizing Bobby Witt Jr. as a really good player. This one's tough.
We don't have to do this.
Yeah, we do. And mine is as bad as anybody's, trust me. Joel Penfield said Vinny Pasquantino was most likely to exceed expectations, going to be an all-star if he stays healthy. Joel, I don't think that was a bad pick. And I think next year, if he stays healthy, right back in that conversation if he starts off a little bit hotter.
And I think he still did in relative terms. I know he's a streaky hitter, but when his heaters are absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Josh, you had MJ Melendez to be more than a platoon guy.
Well, it doesn't look like that was the case. He was not more than that. He was quite less than that. But here, I'm going to be here in 4 months and probably saying the same damn thing because I'm an idiot. So MJ Melendez forever unless he gets traded, and then good luck to you. But I still have a lot of faith in MJ Melendez. I don't know what to do with it other than say it in a microphone. Sounds stupid.
My pick was, I think, equal parts not knowing ball and also just not believing in Michael Massey straight up coming into the year. I said Nick Lofton was most likely to exceed expectations. Josh was nice enough to listen back to the pod and pull quotes from people. And I said that he can take the second base job from Michael Massey. And that might have even been independent of how Massey played. I just believe Lofton was going to be really good. Yep. He very obviously was not very good. I don't have too much to say for myself.
I think there's plenty of rationale behind that. I'm a big Nick Lofton guy. I like Massey too. It wasn't like Massey did a whole lot to solidify that job this year, but Nick Lofton had his opportunity and just couldn't do it. So it was.
And then Massey came on at the end.
Okay. Yeah. Does the postseason performance carry any weight to you guys when it comes to
Massey's
value moving forward?
Yeah.
To me, that was significant because he's not a leadoff hitter. And they asked him to come in and do that, and he did a job better than a lot of you. One of the only guys that really showed up with a bat in October.
Yeah,
I think my expectations for second baseman were also a little bit too high.
Totally fair.
Offense around the league, he can be a 90 WRC plus player. He's Kyle Isbell at center field, except you're at second base.
And I think Massey finished with a 102 or 103 WRC plus.
Yeah.
The back thing is it's literally the only thing, and it's a huge thing. But it's just God dog it. If he can stay healthy for 130 games, that's a 2.5, 3-win player at second base.
Yeah, and if they could build a lineup where he is hitting 7th or lower, that's cooking.
Yeah, if he's
cooking
your
with
6
gas,
or
right?
7 hitter, absolutely.
Yep.
Most likely to fall short of expectations. Joel, this answer could have been really, really good or really, really bad, in any 6-week sample of the season. Hunter Renfroe started off terrible, got really, really good, got hurt, came back, was really, really good, and then faded into the sunset throughout the season. So I don't know whether to hold you accountable for that or say really good pick.
It was a net neutral pick, I think.
And we'll take that, considering that some of us whiffed. Unlike Josh saying that Cole Riggins will fall off the cliff.
Okay. All right. We're doing this Cole Riggins explanation again. We're doing this again. Cole Riggins was my pick for likely to fall short of expectation because his expectations coming in the year were that he was be a Cy Young candidate. Turns out he is that good. He is him, and I'm an idiot, but I feel like my rationale for that was still very much on point. So I'll stand by my take, even though it was wrong.
It doesn't even bring my hater heart any joy to say I was right about MJ Melendez falling short of expectations. I thought he'd be a solid player and not be a part of the core. And depending on who you ask, I don't even know if he was solid. He kind of improved over the year, had some stretches that were good, kind of still the same boat that he was a year ago, where I think
100% the same boat.
Looking at him,
maybe worse. He's underwater a little bit.
Yeah. Team record. These were a little bit similar for me and Joel. Josh was a lot closer to the Royals. Joel said it'd be a Bringe year at 74 and 88. I said that they would not have a 20-win improvement at 73 and 89. Josh said we could be talking about a contending team all season, which we indeed were at 78 and 84. Josh, kudos.
I think my direct quote was, "We could be talking about a contending team all year that finishes the year 82-80." I did take that quote out of context. I should have put some ellipses there at the end because I was not right on the end of it. But yeah, I don't think it's any secret that they exceeded a lot of expectations, especially when it comes to team records. So shout out to the boys in blue.
You had a really good question, Josh, about what will the team need to add after the season to take the next step. Joel said outfield and a rotation spot. I had a long list. Outfield, 1 to 2 rotation spots, maybe a second baseman, maybe a third baseman. Some of those they still need, and maybe 1 rotation spot, but I feel really good about the rotation outside of that, depending on what happens with Waka.
Yeah, I think your shopping list was still pretty damn close to where we are, even after a postseason run.
Yep. Got to go shopping, man. All right, let's blow through some AL and NL picks here. MVP, you guys had Juan Soto, good pick. I had Corey Seager, who obviously not even up there, so bad pick on my part. Cy Young, George Kirby, that was a pretty solid pick from Joel.
Yeah.
Corbin Burns from Josh, I had Pablo Lopez. Somebody's got massive whiff for me again. Rookie of the year, Evan Carter for Josh. Joel and I had Jackson Holiday. Not off to a good start here on the award predictions. Josh and I had Ronald Acuna for NL MVP. Joel had Bryce Harper. Absolutely loved the pick back then. Shohei Ohtani's world. We're just living in it. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. Oh, Spencer Strider. We also died on NL Cy Young.
We got burned by the Braves, like, entirely. Like, from here on out, it's like...
Yeah.
We all had
Yamamoto. I like that pick.
Yeah, we all...
Yamamoto, we all died on that. Yep.
Yeah, that was tough. Real tough that I had one of the 6 playoff teams correct in the American League. The Orioles. That's rough. So, in the preseason, I had the division winners as the Orioles, Twins, and Mariners, Wildcard, Rangers, Rays, Blue Jays. But I also could not foresee, like, who could have foreseen 3 AL Central teams making the playoffs? Like, who's amongst us? Yeah.
Josh, who'd you have for all that?
I was right on the division winners with Yankees, Guardians, and Astros. And then I went Rays, Orioles, and Blue Jays. I thought there were going to be 4 AL East teams beating the crap out of the Bo Sox all year long, and that was not the case.
The good news is you stepped on the Blue Jays rake again.
I sure did.
Yes.
So did you.
Not for the
I
World
almost
Series.
did. Yes.
That's true.
I
did in the World Series. I did call back a Vlad Jr. comeback year, which much happened.
That did happen.
Yes.
That is true.
Literally within the year, too, because like after a while we were like, man, I don't know about Vlad, and then he just became Vlad again. I had the Orioles, Twins, and Rangers, massive whiffs on, well, I guess Minnesota just choked it away. They very well could have, but they didn't. Yankees, Astros, and Mariners for 50% of those teams. We all had the same exact Dodgers in the NL.
That was a real
That's
problem.
nuts. Predictably, ironically,
too early on the Padres wagon.
Yeah, we were. We all had the Phillies making it. We all had
because the year before we all bit like I think we all had the Padres winning the division.
We ate shit on them. Yeah,
I had them in the World Series.
We all stepped on that rake and we refused to this year.
Yep.
Yes.
We're going to do it this year. Fool me once.
The difference was the final NL wildcard team. Joel had the Diamondbacks. That's really a good pick. Josh had the Reds. I had Milwaukee. So we all batted at least 500 on that. We did not bat even 500 on the World Series. Joel could still be in play for the Dodgers to make it out of the NL. Texas, not going to get there. That was also my pick in the AL. Me and Josh had Atlanta. He had Toronto making it out of the AL in the Vlad Jr. comeback year.
I'm glad we all whiffed big time on the AL representative in the World Series.
That's what we did. But
Joel, you had a good bet. Go ahead.
So our prop bets going into the season with the Royals one, it was Bobby to lead the league in triples.
That was nice.
Karen Duran of the Boston Red Sox led with 14. Bobby had 11. Bobby had 11 in like August, and then he just didn't hit anymore. But I thought the process of that bet was good. Josh had a really good one with dealing with Bobby. We had a couple actually that were pretty good.
I had Vinny over 25.5 home runs. He finished in
which plausibly could have happened if he didn't.
Might have happened. Yeah, he caught fire there, but I also had Juan Soto leading the MLB in home runs. He finished 4th. And as bad as my gambling picks were all year,
Hit.
so bad all year, I did call Bobby Witt Jr. to lead the majors in hits for plus 1,800, which would probably maybe bring me back to even for the year.
Yeah, good thing I took that advice and put a $500 spot.
Yeah, great.
On that.
So you're a sponsor. Yeah, this the One Royal Way podcast sponsored by Jordan Foote.
Yep.
LLC.
I had Bobby Witt Jr. down a 30-30 season. He did that by just a little bit. I had Bo Bichette to lead the league in hits at plus 1,100. He didn't even play like over half a season, I think.
Yep.
So that kind of flopped. And then even worse, I had the Spencer Torkelson bandwagon over 29.5 home runs. He sucked yet again, had 10.
He got demoted. Man.
He was bad. And he
I
was
won't
bad
fall for that shit again.
Yeah. So mine were probably the most cartoonishly bad of all of us. So I had Estuary Ruiz from Oakland.
Dog,
I didn't have stolen bases.
No offense, but I don't know what the hell you were thinking on that.
Well, the dude
he was
67 stolen bases the year before.
Previous year.
So
Yeah.
And Oakland is bad. So they're going to keep running him out there and just let him go crazy.
That was my.
And then he wore some last dive bar Oakland bracelet, and coincidentally he gets optioned to AAA the next day after 5 stolen bases, never comes back up, and he got hurt and only played 40 baseball games the whole year and had 5 stolen bases. So good for him.
Are we putting quotations or marks around hurt? He got hurt.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
We'll see. I don't know, allegedly. Ellie De La Cruz under 21.5 homers. I did not buy into the hype. I think the hype got too crazy around him. He's he's a really, really good player. 25 homers. He also stole 70-something bags or something crazy like that.
I think both could be true. He could be awesome and still be overrated, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's very true. He led the league and she's punched out 215 times or something like that. But I think he's a top 0.5% athlete in the sport.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt.
Just freakish.
Freak.
Fellas.
Hey, boys, it's time to get transactional.
It's time. Joel, lead us off.
Okay, so the way we're going to do this is similar to the chart that Josh put together throughout the season as we were getting closer to the trade deadline. We are going to pick one lower cost free agent, one high-cost free agent, and one trade. It can be big or small to improve the starting pitching, the bullpen, and position players. And we're all putting our GM hats on. We have not talked about who we are picking or anything of that nature. This is kind of to our heart's content because we are the GM in this scenario. So we'll start with the starting pitching.
Do we want to go low, or do we want to go through the whole individual plan?
I'm kind of low, high.
I love that. Yeah.
Okay.
Me too.
So for my low-cost free agent, and this is low just based on what has transpired for him this year.
And we're going by spot track projection.
Yeah, I'm going by spot track.
You have Walker Buehler?
Yes.
We all had Walker Buehler. Oh my God.
So we did not plan this. So the market value on Walker Buehler is 1 year, $3.9 million. I think he's going to get more than that. It'll probably be closer to, I think it'll be
6, 7.
far more than that, I think. It'll probably 6 or 7. Yeah. He's coming off a Tommy John surgery. His year did not go well for him down the stretch as he was coming back from that. I see this as a 1 year recoup your value as our 2 or 3 starter and then go get a deal somewhere else. Kind of like a 1 year mercenary type deal.
Yeah.
But that's where I would go for this. And I think the Royals could be in play for him on a 1 year deal if he just wants a prove it deal, ball out, and then go get a multi-year deal after.
I hate both of you because I have always been a Walker Buehler guy. I will always be. I was like, I like him. They're going to roast the shit out of me. And
I think he's awesome.
Yeah.
And he turned 30 in July. So, he is sneaky older than I thought. I'm like, oh, he's 27. He's sneaky, been around the block a couple times.
Yeah. I thought
this fine in 2022. Also, I think if you can get 4.02 ERA back, you're getting a really, really good value.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
I think and that's something the Royals could potentially unlock too, in that his slider is not used very heavily and is also not very good. So that could also be something that they could appeal to him he does have 6 pitches.
Yeah.
I think it is.
5, 6, 7. Four-seam cutter, knuckle curve, sinker, sweeper, change, and slider. So maybe they need to trim that down a little bit and get him back to a little bit of basics, but his stuff was good enough back in 21, 22. I'd be interested in giving him $6-7 million to see what he got.
Yep. All right, we want to move on to high cost.
Let's do it.
Oh, higher cost free agent. This is not taking into account Michael Wacha, for the record. My high cost free agent was Jack Flaherty.
Same.
Market value, 3 years, $61 million. Yep. I was a Jack Flaherty skeptic last year. I know it was somebody that
I was going to say
talked about him quite a bit.
Yeah.
There have been a lack of productivity for the previous couple of years. Plus, he'd been hurt a bunch. And when he went to Baltimore, it was really bad. Like it did not work for him at all. So I was willing to kind of take a step back, see what he did on like a 1-year deal or something like that. And he balled out in Detroit. And then he's been very good for the Dodgers. He was healthy the whole year, struck out a bunch of guys, kept the walks down. Like now I'm like, okay, I have proof of concept that he's kind of back to what he was a couple of years ago, even if he's not quite the same pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is a guy you kind of capitalize on. You are buying high, but again, you're asking him to come in and be your 3 or maybe your 2. Because you're not needing to buy an ace because you have Cole Reagans. But Lugo threw a lot of innings last year. Who knows if he'll be able to replicate it? You kind of know what you're going to get from Brady Singer. Just slot Jack Flaherty in the middle of the rotation, and you feel really, really good about it still being a very, very deep and integral part of the team.
Yep, and I think you can, if you could truly get him for 3 years, I feel like I'd be surprised if he only got 3 years.
He's like 29, so it's not like you're kind of still in that middle prime.
You could feasibly get 3 years, and then and re-cash in when he's 33. But if you're able to get him at 3 years, $61 million, that doesn't hamstring you to potentially extend Cole Reagans when it comes time either. So I think that was also a big part of this too.
I have Max Fried as
I thought about Max Fried a lot.
His estimate's $23 million per year, 3.25 ERA. He's pitched like 165 plus innings, 3 at last 4, so 31 in January. Doesn't get hit hard, keeps the ball on the ground. Excellent 4-seam curve, sinker, changeup, like quartet. Like I just love the Royals saw firsthand, like at the end of the season, right? Like this guy's really, really good.
One of the underrated pitchers of like this.
Yes, agreed. Yeah.
I think that if they were going to max out, if you're going to give Michael Wacha $18 million a year versus Max Fried $24 million a year or something, like I know that apples to oranges, and that probably isn't going to be the right mark for either of them. But if you're going to shell out money, then I definitely would pony up for that.
Yep. I'm not against that at all.
Trade time. So I took a different avenue on this because it's my game and I created it, so I can do this. Okay. Rather than trading for a starting pitcher, I am trading away a starting pitcher and adding back prospects.
Okay.
So,
did we clear all of these with the by the way? The virtual commissioner.
All of the trades that we put together are through baseball trade values. And yes, let's get the disclaimer out there. This is not an exact science. This is not what the Major League Baseball teams are using to do their trades, but this is what we have available to us. So this is what we use. This matches up perfectly in baseball trade values 1-to-1. I didn't fudge it. I'm trading Alec Marsh to the Arizona Diamondbacks for Yu-Min Lin, left-handed starting pitcher. Got to AAA this year. Ivan Melendez, the Hispanic Titanic, who was in AA this year.
What did he hit?
He hit a bunch of homers. I know that he struck out.
Okay, you finished that. I'm going to look that up.
And then Gilbert Diaz, another starting pitcher, just got up this year, but it fit in the system, and I think this could be a starter reliever type situation. And I'm doing this because I don't view Alec Marsh as a starting pitcher. I think he is a reliever. But if he wants to start, the way to maybe do right by the guy is send him somewhere where he probably could. Because Arizona needs starting pitching right now. Behind Gallen, Brandon Foote was okay. I think the FIP was better than the ERA, so he's probably going to be a little better next year. I have no idea what I'm going to get from Eduardo Rodriguez. And Merrill Kelly, I think he's a free agent, and you're going to lose Jordan Montgomery because the owner pissed him off. So
what a weird quote.
They have
that was nuts, by the way.
That was like crazy.
Yeah.
That's some stuff you expect from like an NFL owner, not an MLB. Like that crazy.
Yeah.
So this is me trading Alec Marsh to an opportunity where I think there's a better chance for him to start. And you get a Yumin Lin, who I love. I think he could be a legit 3 or 4 starter for you. There's not a ton of velo on the fastball, but he commands fastball, curveball, slider change really well in mixes and matches. Ivan Melendez hits a bunch of home runs, so if you want to add more power, there you go. And then Yelber Diaz, I think there's some more ceiling there to what he can be. So that's where I'm going with that. What do you guys have for your trade? Or do you have any thoughts on mine before we move on?
I like it.
I like the outside of the box thought. And Lord knows they need prospects. They need to restock that farm 100%, especially if it's upper levels. I
think Yumin Lin could be legit. And some of it too, like some of his numbers were kind of inflated this year, but that's also because he was pitching in Amarillo, which is really tough. And then he went to Reno at the end, which is also very tough. Like very tough. Pitching with the super happy fun ball, the PCL, and some of these really tough environments, like get him to Omaha and then to Kansas City in a more depressed offensive environment. And I think it could work.
I have Freddie Fermin and Chandler Champlain going in a slight overpay, but I think this guy's value, if it hits, could be really good. To Miami for Jesus Luzardo, arbitration eligible the next 2 years. He had a very bad season.
I can't quit the dude, though. I can't.
Yes, and that's precisely right. I love the fastball. I love the chase rate. I love the whiff rates. He turned 27 at the end of September. He was really, really good in 2023. So, like, my problem is...
He was good in 22 as well.
Exactly. If he's back to that, then you're absolutely fleecing the shit out of Miami. The problem is his value was 0.4 more than Freddie Fermin. I'm like, you aren't effing trading Freddie Fermin straight up for Jesus Luzardo. Got to throw something else in. So I personally don't love the trade machine setup here, but I took advantage of it, and I would, I think 2 years of him in those RB years, whether he's good or not, it's worth helping Miami shore up the catcher position a little bit, get Freddie Fermin some more routine at-bats. And Champlain improved this year in a little bit of a different role, I believe, but nothing too crazy, I think, long-term. So that's what I got.
Well, while we're talking to Miami, let's keep them on the phone a little bit, because I got my trade was also with the Miami Marlins.
Love that.
I can't speak to the reality of this scenario, but I can say that the trade value from Baseball Trade Values did accept this trade. And I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone here. It's also going to my reliever trade as well. But I am sending Maikel Garcia and Brady Singer.
Ooh.
He's bringing back a former Cy Young winner in
Andy Alcantara.
Yes. And the reliever Anthony Bender. Very interested in both those guys. Alcantara has 3 years left, $55.6 million left on his deal coming off of TJ. But I feel like there's still plenty like tread on those tires. Take shot to bolster the rotation with a former Cy Young winner and kind of replace, Brady Singer, is a very good pitcher, and I do hope that he's still around. And if they do deal him for something, I want it to be for a solid deal like this that is going to absolutely make a strength an absolute, like, elite level positional, favorite in that situation. So I'm very interested in Sandy Alcantara. And then Anthony Bender, 30 years old next year, 3 years of control left, had a 4.08 ERA with a 2.92 FIP, 25.9 K rate, 8.8% walk rate. He's a ground ball machine. He's coming at that sidearm angle. He's got a sweeper, a sinker, a four-seam change. So it's kind of a little bit like Johnny Schreibs back there in that bullpen, but give me another one of those guys. He's got a 50% ground ball rate. Pair him up with Schreiber, with Angel Zerpa, with Lucas Urseg. in that bullpen, and you are working with some nastiness in that bullpen, especially on the right side. So very interested in that trade, as unrealistic as it is, because there's no way Sandy Alcantara is on the market, I wouldn't think.
Look, it's Joel's game. If he approves, he approves.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, it's also Miami. Like, we have no idea.
Who knows? Yeah,
how they're gonna act. Like, that's part of it.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to relievers. So my low cost is Jose Leclerc. From the
love it. Oh my God.
2 years, $9.1 million is the market value on Spot Rack. Coming off a year where he was not great, 4.32 ERA, but still struck out 89 in those innings. To me, like, you're not asking him to come in and close, like, and I don't think at this point in his career, like, he should, because I just can't get it out of my head, because I have a very, very good friend of mine who is a Texas Rangers fan. And anytime Jose Leclerc did anything that wasn't a clean inning, I would just get an all caps text that said Leclerc is a bum. So I just, yeah, like I just can't get that out of my head. But if you ask him to come in and help be the bridge to Lucas Erceg in like the 7th inning, then yes. And he's still got some solid velo. There's still good strikeout stuff there. I think you can make it work, and that's where I would go.
I mean, it is a low cost option. 2 years, $9.2 million, so it is low cost for sure. There is an injury history there. That's got a little bit of a red flag.
That is totally fair.
So I think that's something to think about. But if you're getting him on that deal, I think that's a deal you sign immediately. So that's
or even if it's like the Will Smith deal, like a 1 for 5.
Yes,
like something like that. I think that's totally fair. Is that who you guys had too?
No,
that's what I had.
Josh did.
Sorry,
I had Caleb Ferguson from originally New York, then Houston. 3.43 ERA with LA back in 2023. This year, a 4.64 ERA, but a 3.74 FIP. Really caught on with Houston, averaged like over 11 strikeouts per 9. He's only 28 years old. Lefties hit 218 and slugged 308 off of him this year. Off the lefty, the cutter, they hit 130, slugged 148 against. Like, it's a very legitimate pitch. He's young. The Spot Track estimate was $1.4 million, which I think is ridiculous. He's worth more than that. Probably will get more than that. But I was trying to think a little bit outside the box and kind of a lesser known name, I think, compared to some other people. But that's my low cost reliever.
Love it.
My
hard to argue a $1.5 million guy.
Sure.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what like Luis Cessa was, right?
Yeah.
So high cost is all relative when it comes to relievers, because the numbers are either like Josh or lower. But I'll say like a $6.5 million is a higher cost, relatively speaking. And I went with Jeff Hoffman from Philadelphia.
Yeah, I thought about
a guy that needed to just get the hell away from pitching in Colorado. And he has found something in the bullpen the last couple of years with the Phillies. 66 in the 3rd innings this year, 89 strikeouts. The advanced metrics are really solid for him. When you look at expected ERA, expected batting average, the fastball velo is around 96, 97. Ton of chase, ton of whiff, solid strikeout numbers, and a reasonable walk rate. 33.6 strikeout percent K rate. He gets hit hard. Like, when he does get hit, he gets barreled up. And he doesn't give up a lot of ground balls, but that may kind of benefit a little bit with the Royals because they have so many dudes that are ground ball inducing, that this is true, like, fuel strikeout guy at the back end that I think you really could pair if they want to move Bubic to a different role. Like, this is another guy, righty, ton of velo, ton of swing and miss to pair at the back end with Lucas Erceg in the 8th inning. That would be a pretty intriguing option. I think he gets more than the 2 for 12.3 that Spot Rack projects for. I could see him getting closer to 2 for 14 or 2 for 16, just based on what he's done the last couple of years with the Phillies.
I feel like the only like true expensive guy was Tanner Scott that I saw.
Yeah.
But
I feel so weird about giving relievers of money because the volatility of relievers is so significant that, like, I don't want to give a guy that type of money.
100%. I mean, his Savant page is all red.
Tanner Scott's awesome. He's awesome.
And he's doing it on just a four seam and a slider, which is super impressive from the left side, especially.
His four seam is like 17 or 18 IBV. IBV. Like, it's crazy.
Which Leclerc's is like 17 as well. I saw that today, which is interesting. But Tanner Scott was the only one. I don't want any part of it. Not that he's not a good pitcher, but I would not want to go after him, both for a fit and for money. But Jordan, do you have an expensive guy?
I forced this pick. I don't really want this guy, and I call absolute bullshit on the price tag because it would make him like the sixth highest paid reliever in baseball. But mildly intrigued by Carlos Estevez. They have him listed at $14 million a year. That is absolute crap.
I
don't
good.
think he's worth.
He's very
I think he's good, but he's not $14 million a year. Good.
Probably not. Somebody's got to pay these. Someone's going to pay these guys.
This is true. I think if you make that,
there's like 2 or 3 of them that are going to get that.
Yes. He had a 2.45 ERA this year. Good in Philly. Good in LA. Experience as a closer. Really, really, really good against righties. Opponents hit less than 200 against him. All 3 of his offerings this year. Turns 32 in December. So I'm trying to stay away from really, really old pitchers. Even in the relief variety. So, again, I don't like the price tag there, but I did have to pick somebody, and that's who I went with. So, high cost Carlos Estevez.
All right, trade time.
I love it.
So, this is a guy that I've had my eye on for a while when it comes to reliever trades. He still has 3 years of control after 2025, 26, and 27. Coming off a little bit of a down year, but maybe this is a buy the dip and see if you can work a deal with a brand new president of baseball ops. I'm going to go get Camilo Doval from the San Francisco Giants in exchange for Gavin Cross and Austin Charles.
Ooh, that is a steep price for a reliever.
But I think it's more about
that volatile.
It's the controllable years. And
it is.
He had a rough year this year, but 2022, 2.53 ERA in 67 and 2/3, 2.93 ERA in 67 and 2/3 and 23, 4.88 and 59 innings this past year. So he has enough. There is enough of a track record. He's going to be 27. And again, you may not even need him to close out games. If you truly believe that Lucas Ursig is going to be the closer.
What'd you give up for him?
Gavin Cross and Austin Charles. And I think it's more to do with the controllable years than it is the productivity. But it's a move I would it's a move I would make. Scared money don't make none.
It's a good point. Very good point. Especially on a trade.
Yes. And if it works, you have an absolutely deadly 8th and 9th inning.
Yeah. I mean, throw Adel Zerpa in there, and you get a 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, 7th, 8, 9. Yeah,
firepower. I already told you mine. Anthony Bender was part of my first deal, so I'm out.
I like it.
I have Maikel Garcia going to the Tampa Bay Rays, who might need a shortstop because of stuff. Yeah, lot of stuff going on there. For Pete Fairbanks, something like that. Pete Fairbanks and Cooper Kitty. Fairbanks, $3.7 million next year, then a $7 million club option for the following year. That is very stomachable if he is playing well. Injury cut his season short. Again, experience as a closer, 31 years old in December. Very, very, very good slider and also a pretty good fastball. Those are pretty much the only 2 pitches he goes to. Kitty was their comp balance pick in 21, number 16 prospect. 137 WRC plus this year in high A. He turns 22 in January, primarily second baseman. Also plays a little bit of third and some first base. So Maikel Garcia gets a fresh start, and they get a middle infield prospect, and they also get a pretty solid reliever with 1, maybe 2 years of control.
I think you're going to see my trade later. I think do we all have Maikel Garcia getting traded? I think.
I haven't getting traded him twice. Yeah, same. Sayonara, buddy.
Dude, I do. Kenny.
Yeah, I do think getting a team that is shortstop needy
Yeah, I tried to put into account like what teams actually need. I'm like, this could be a little bit more realistic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that. Moving on to the position players.
This is going to be a crapshoot. I'm excited for this.
My low cost, and again, it's low cost relative to production. Jurickson Profar.
Oh, that's low cost?
I was going to say that'd be freaking awesome.
Yeah. So it says 2 for $25 on here. I know it's a little bit of a pretty penny, but and he's also 31 or 32.
My low cost
I don't know.
$2.4 million.
I went a little aggressive here, but I really want.
Sure you did.
Yeah, because I
love the pick, though.
So if they are serious about getting a leadoff hitter and a middle of the order bat, you're going to have to pay up. Like, there's not a cheap leadoff hitter out there, I don't think.
I'm not sure there's many that I could feasibly see being acquired anyway.
Yeah. No, and that's totally fair. So this was more about me attacking the needs that JJ talked about. Like, okay, here's how I would, and if this is what I have to do to go and get a dude with a 380 on base to table set.
I love Profar. Yep.
Good for him too, because his career has been so weird from top prospect to kind of flaming out, hurt all the time.
He's only 31.
Yeah, 31.
And being around is like 20, right?
40. Yeah.
Him and Elvis Andrews, we've been talking about for collectively 75 years.
Yeah. But again, like quality of contact, the ex-Woba, really good. Expected batting average, still very good. The chase rate, very low, fits into Kansas City. The whiff rate, very low, fits into Kansas City. The strikeout rate, low, fits into Kansas City. The walk rate is in the 89th percentile, 11.4%. That is what this team needs. And if you get Jurickson Profar to come in as a switch hitter to hit in front of Bobby Witt Jr. And set the table, get him on base for Vinny and beyond, it'll lengthen the lineup a lot. So yes, a low cost relative to the production that you could get from a guy like this.
It's a Brett Beach low cost move.
Yes.
And if it's 12.5 a year is the AAV, I'd go 3 or 4 years.
I go 3.
We'd definitely go 3.
Yeah, like 3 for 36. Yeah.
If that's the difference between him going to...
or 2 and a player option, something like that.
Yeah.
The only problem is this, and this kind of goes to what people were talking about with sacrificing defense for offense. Like, he's not a good defender in left field, but he is going to hit a hell of a lot more. And so the value will outweigh. Like, as a very below average defender, I think he was still like a 3.5 win player or pretty close to it. So, hell, I think he might have been a 4-win player.
Yeah, that's wild. My low cost guy is the guy we talked about before, Michael Conforto, for 1 year, $4.7 million. Plays corner outfield, not well. He's probably going to be mostly DH, but he can fill out those corner outfield spots potentially. A lot of red in his hitting savant page, especially when it comes to plate discipline. Last year, he had an 8.5% walk rate, which was the lowest of his career since 2015. He's usually above 10%, so I think that's a pretty good bet to make. He will be above that. He got a little bit of pop. He can hit for average as well, but he's mostly a hitter in this situation in his part of his career. But one guy that I've heard the Royals have had interest in the past, I could totally see them trying to pay up for a $5 million contract for 1 year of Michael Conforto to probably play DH, but also potentially spell Hunter Renfroe, potentially, take a little bit of ABs away from MJ Melendez as well when he needs a break too. So Michael Conforto is my cheap option.
Man, I took low cost. Literally, I went through the weeds. I had Michael Conforto. I was like, nah, someone else is going to take him. And sure enough, they did. I'm not campaigning for this guy. I just had to pick somebody. I have Jesse Winker as my pick. 1 year, $2.4 million. He's bounced back a little bit last year. I agree. I'm with you on that. 764 OPS last year, career highs in stolen bases, had 14 home runs. Really good against right-handed pitchers and mostly respectable against lefties. He walks quite a bit, career almost 13% walk rate. Elite chase with walk rates last year. Terrible defender. Absolutely dreadful in left field. -9 outs above average at left. The caveat, -2 in right field. Still not good, but a lot more able to play. 97th percentile in arm value, 65th percentile in arm strength. So put him in right field, let that arm play a little bit. I would assume those percentiles might change a little bit. I don't know if the formula factors in what quarter you're in, but bring a professional at bat, play a little bit, be, a Hunter Renfroe type playing time guy. When you actually have physical Hunter Renfroe, that kind of complicates it a little bit, but that's my low
that
cost.
That could honestly be a sneaky good platoon. I know that it's not sexy, but you go
get the job
platoon done. Between Renfroe and Winker, it's palatable.
Yeah.
And also Jesse Winker will fight someone. So if you want to have that aggressive guy in the clubhouse,
yeah.
He might fight someone in the clubhouse.
Also true. Yes.
And I didn't factor that in.
The fans on the way out because he did.
He'll fight just about anybody. He's got that. He got that action.
He's a red ass.
Inject these next two into my veins. I need the high cost and trade options. I've been waiting all show for this. Joel.
Okay, so my high cost. I was very low on this guy after watching him in Seattle a couple of years ago, but damn it, the numbers are too good outside of it. Teoscar Hernandez.
Mm.
Yeah. Is that who you had?
That was also my pick. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
3 year
market value?
Market value is 3 years, $71.2 million.
Good for him.
He's 32, but the year in Seattle was really rough, but no one hits well in Seattle. And he was still an above average hitter with 26 homers. He went to LA this year, 272, 339, 501 slug, first 500 slug season since 2021, 134 weighted runs created plus, a 3.5 win player as a very net negative outfielder.
Yeah.
But damn it, the dude hits homers. He does not hit, he has never hit a cheap home run in his life. And for a team that on the whole does not strike out a lot, does not chase a lot, and does not hit a lot of homers, you can afford to have a Teoscar Hernandez in your lineup.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can afford one guy that's going to strike out near 30%. Salvador Perez will be around 25. But a dude that is true 3 outcome or 2 outcome in most cases and is going to hit a bunch of home runs and hit a bunch of doubles and be a run producer in the middle of the order, I would do it. And would he just dream with me for a moment if they somehow manage to go and get Profar and Teo. Jurickson Profar, Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino, Salvador Perez, Michael Massey, Teoscar Hernandez. Or Teoscar Hernandez, Michael Massey.
That's probably how I'd go.
That's a hell of a top 6.
Yeah.
That's also how you keep Kyle Isbell in the lineup every day.
Correct.
Or, honestly, I would go Profar, Witt, Vinny, Teo, Massey, Salvi.
Oh, no. Capitan is not going to be anywhere under 4 or higher than 4.
I have 2 quick points about Hernandez. He does have a pretty noticeable career split righty-lefty, but it's a 113 WRC plus against righty, so it's not like he can't hit him. He just isn't confident.
The counter to that is this team had a really hard time when they had to go platoon or platoon to a lefty.
Yeah.
Those days were really
tough. He's still more than serviceable.
A lot of good options. And he's more than serviceable against righties, and he hits the crap out of left-handed pitch.
Defensively, again, a guy that profiles much, much, much better in right than left. -9 outs above average in left. He played over 400 innings in right. Had a positive UZR and -1 outs above average. So maybe that plays there. First percentile outs above average overall. Second percentile fielding run value. Terrible defender, but he's going to hit the ball and he's going to hit the ball hard. So that's also my high cost pick.
I went and shot the moon. Alex Bregman.
Alex
Bregman. 4 years, 119.9, say $120 million. He's just the kind of hitter that they need to be looking for. I mean, I don't know if Michael Garcia did enough to solidify that third base job. We've dealt him twice in our exercise here. So if that's the case, then I think Alex Bregman ain't nobody coming for that third base job behind him for a couple more years at least. But he's got a great approach, good at defense, good veteran presence. He's been in the postseason before, has that experience, been there, done that. He doesn't whiff or chase while also being aggressive with some pop and does hit for average, even though there was a decline this year. So I think Alex Bregman is exactly the guy that you spend the money on. If it's just 4 years, he's 30 years old now. He'll be just under 31 by the time it starts season next year. So I think that's a guy that I'd be comfortable giving 4 years to paying up through 35 years old and kind of anchoring the I'll say it. I'd probably bat him lead off in this situation too, even though you're kind of, paying him middle of the order money. I think he would be a great lead off hitter in this offense. So
I think I'm with you.
Maybe you can slide him down. Maybe Bobby's your lead off hitter and he's the 2. I don't know. It'd be an interesting.
I think Bobby's been too good at the 2-hole hitter for too long.
He is. But if you're going to bump him for someone, it's a guy like Bregman.
Sure.
That's very fair. Can I bring one more name to the table? You guys care, and I'm sorry, producer Nick. I know we're running.
Is it Santander?
Is it Santander?
No, it is not Santander.
I thought I looked at him.
It's to go along with the third base thing, Willie Adames.
Yeah.
Now, it is going to be a pretty penny because he's 28 years old.
Yeah.
Market value has it at 6 for 152. But I would see if I could get him. I could get him and move him to third and let him lock that down.
That's the thing. That's the question mark.
Which I bet he could. He's like an average, he's like around a league average defender at shortstop. He was actually really bad at shortstop. Negative 16 defensive runs saved.
Holy.
And a 0 outs above average. Outs above average loved him in 23, so I don't know what happened. So I'm not sure, but I would try and get him to third base. This year, 251, 331, 462, 32 homers, 112 RBIs. Last 3 years in Milwaukee, he's been really good. He had a slightly below average year in 23, but I think he played hurt for most of it.
Yeah.
But a guy that you can kind of pencil in for hit 250, hit you a bunch of homers, driving a bunch of guys, walk at an all right clip, not strike out a ton.
You know what, Joel?
Be one to consider.
Give me a trade. Give me a good trade.
Okay. So this is going to be, again, to kind of fit the corner outfield for the future and the long term. And I have no idea if this guy is available, but this team functions in a very, very weird way. So,
say the name. Say it's going to be mine.
Lawrence Butler,
No.
The Oakland/Sacramento/Vegas A's for Michael Garcia, Gavin Cross, and Carter Jensen.
Oh,
it is
bastard.
But
you bastard.
He is not a free agent until 2030. He is 24 years old. And for those that may not have watched him this year or know anything about him, came up last year, not great. Started this year really poorly. Goes back down to AAA for about a month. Retooled his swing and his approach and everything. And coming back up, and this is over 330 plate appearances since June 13th of this year when he made this noticeable change. /291, 330, 565, 153 weighted runs created plus, 20 home runs in that stretch, and only a 22% strikeout rate. And a lot of that strikeout rate came toward the end of the year when he just kind of wore down a little bit.
Yeah.
He's going to play an average center field. He's an all right runner, but he's going to hit the crap out of the ball. And he's not even ARB eligible until 2027. So this fits into the timeline of this team and where they are at with the Bobby Witt Jr. contract and some of these other young core guys that they're trying to fit into this lineup. It would be steep. Like, giving up Jensen would suck. Giving up Gavin would suck. But you get this guy that has already kind of established himself, a guy that is very coachable and willing to make changes to fix whatever he needs to do. So you're not getting a guy and there's still some moldable clay there. I think the ceiling is still pretty damn high for what he can be long term. This would be a dude that you could pencil into the middle of the order for the next 6 seasons. I would do it. And I know the price would be steep, but like I said with Camilo Doval, scared money don't make none. If you're able, you make the call, and if they're willing to listen, you go get Lawrence Butler and you bring him to Kansas City.
I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to be on that same phone call with you, Joel. You're going to talk about Lawrence Butler with them, and when they say he's not available, I'm going to say, okay, then we'll say Michael Garcia, and I'll send you Steven Zobak and Felix Ronde, and you give me JJ Bleday and Miguel Andujar.
Wow.
So I had Bleday as the state point.
I don't know, man.
Hold on. 27 Bleday, 27 years old, 4 years of control, /243, 324, 437 in 2024. Hit plenty of home runs, walked at a above 10% clip, struck out less than 20%. Not a lot of dudes can do that, especially from the left side of the plate. Exactly what you want at the leadoff hitter. So I'm going to fulfill that leadoff hitter with JJ Bleday, stick him in the corner outfield spot somewhere, and hope that his defense kind of translates to that point. And we talked about Andujar, 1 year of control. He's 30 years old. Probably more of a left fielder. That's where his best defensive metrics were, but he hits the crap out of left-handed pitching. So if you can platoon him with a guy like MJ Melendez to keep his bat somewhere in that lineup and just go 1-1 with those two guys, I think that could be a decent platoon for 1 year that you have Andujar. If it doesn't work out, you cut bait and you're done with them. And if it does work out, then maybe you got some trade bait to throw at, or at least a bench bat that you can throw in the postseason that's going to be nasty on the left end. So that was my trade I came up with.
I like that. I dig it. I've got Michael Garcia in another trade. I've got Carter Jensen included in the trade. I've got Frank Mazzucato included in the trade. The value is an overpay, but frankly, I don't really know what to make of Mazzucato's value, and also I just adore this player. I think he's ascending. Going to Philadelphia for Alec Boehm, coming back to Kansas City. ARB eligible back-to-back years, 3.5 F4 this season. Doesn't walk a lot, but also doesn't strike out often at all. The whiff rate
doubles machine.
Doubles, yep. 44 doubles, 97 ribbies, 15 home runs. The defense, he just keeps ascending. Turned 28 in August. Great year-over-year improvements at third base. He used to be a terrible defender metrics-wise there. Doing good now. Great adjustments against sinkers. He used to get ate up by those. He used to get ate up by four-seam fastballs. He just keeps figuring things out. And I just I'm a huge fan of his profile. I'm a huge fan of the player. He's not old. He's at a position of need. Again, the Michael Garcia kind of fresh start theme. Carter Jensen hurts to part ways with, but I think when you're getting a win now type player that's young enough, it's worth it. And then Frank Mazzucato, I wanted to include something else because those guys made up the value of Alec Boehm, but I kind of just wanted something else in there for substance. And I think that, a top 15 prospect in the system, regardless of how you feel about him, can get that done.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like Boehm a lot.
Cool. That was better received than I thought. I thought Josh would curse me for putting Carter Jensen in a trade package.
I obviously don't want to lose Carter Jensen, but I've been a big fan of Boehm for 5 years.
He's so awesome.
And I was with your Frank Mazzucato in a trade.
I was just put him in there for something, dude. Name value. I don't know. Maybe you could dupe somebody. I'm kind of out on him right
there. You guys.
So.
I didn't include him because I'm I don't know. Take him on.
Yeah. They're just going to add 4 miles an hour to his fastball upon the trade.
Dude, then adds off to him, man.
Good stuff, man. That was a loaded podcast. Maybe the longest one we've had in quite some time. But I think the most fun one. That's a fun game. I dig it. Mm-hmm. Fellas, do we want a toast game on the way out to anybody? I know that the season's over. I toast game to the listeners. Always and forever. Yeah. We'll do a collective toast game to you guys.
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely awesome. We are going to be dark, predictably, for a while because every week we can't talk about the Royals when there's nothing going on. But a huge toast game to you guys. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow on Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff. We'll be back to talk about what's next. It's going to be heating up as soon as that World Series is over. Plenty of moves for the Royals. So until then, take care, stay safe, and we'll talk to you next time.